Greetings, everyone. It's great to be with you. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all that you do on the mystical path, the way of growth and development, maturing, evolving, and in service. Today, we'll have a presentation on a fascinating topic, psychic and mystical experiences compared. To prepare us for that, we'll have a period of meditation, but also as in our practice, we'll show you some images that you may find of intriguing nature related to our meditation, but also this topic of psychic and mystical experiences. I think you'll see before you now a rather remarkable work that's very intriguing. You'll see in it some beautiful colors in the upper half, and then below a medieval church or cathedral. It's done in a watercolor, and it's actually from a book on thought forms from 1901, associated with Annie Besant and C.W. Leadbeater. This particular illustration is entitled Thought Form of the Music of Gounod. That's Charles Francois Gounod, who's a French composer. And in their book on thought forms, they talked about how you could see emotions in an inner psychic way. You could also pick up on thought forms or impressions of composer's music when it was played. Here, for example, this wondrous thought form that was formed from a concert would be taking place in a concert hall or in a church as depicted here, and the form would stay in place actually for an hour or two for those who are sensitive enough, they indicated. Part of this I wanted to indicate too is that there's a tremendous range of psychic experiences and mystical experiences that we'll explore more and have some experience of during our period of meditation. It's also intriguing that in the first half of the 20th century, there was a development of abstract art. It had various precursors in the 19th century, but they were greatly influenced by depictions of thought forms, particularly in this book on thought forms in 1901. And artists like Kandinsky and others took those forms, like particularly in the upper half, and used that as express abstract feelings and thoughts. But there's also this psychic connection or this psychic form. And in a certain sense, it isn't as abstract as sometimes it's thought with this psychic origin that I'm speaking of. Of course, images like this could then be an inspiration to express feelings and thoughts on the individual artist that they're feeling within themselves, not necessarily generated by outer stimulus. Similar to these types of developments, I want to show you a work of quite a wondrous nature that's done by the artist Agnes Pelton. This is a work entitled The Blessed, and it dates from 1941. It's oil on canvas, and the actual original painting is about 37.5 inches by 28.25 inches, or if you prefer the metric system, 95.3 centimeters by 71.8 centimeters. And Agnes Pelton was actually a friend of the Rosicrucian adept and artist Nicholas Roerich. Also, she was a friend of the theosopher and painter Lauren Harris. You'll notice in this work here that is influenced by these concept of thought forms and inner psychic and spiritual experience that she learned through various means, including through Nicholas Roerich and her own meditations and experiences. We see rising up above a landscape associated with the desert where she was living in the second part of her life. And we see this wondrous form, and it's entitled The Blessed. In a way, we see a wondrous form of a master within, the divine within, an ascended master, or invisible master, one can use one's own imagination and thoughts and impression to see, but we see this great unfolding, this great billowing up. And these are the type of inner experiences that we can have that can, through psychic and mystical experiences, often have such visions or inner sights that takes place that then an artist may depict on canvas. It's done here, that helps draw us into that deep inner experience that the artist Agnes Pelton had, and then ultimately into that more universal experience of cosmic consciousness, or the universal intelligence back of the cosmos that we call the cosmic. As we take in this inspiring work of art, and as we consider psychic and mystical experiences, I invite you now to close your eyes, having felt the uplift from the blessed painting by Agnes Pelton, and just turn inward to your own inner psychic and mystical impressions. Just let go of the cares of the day, and feel free to be lying down or seated or whatever is conducive to you for meditation and reflection. You can view this time as a mini retreat together. Be rejuvenated, reintegrated, and all the more aware of our psychic, mystical experiences and faculties. Conducive to this is some neutral breathing, either holding the inhalation or the exhalation. And you may want to breathe just a little more deeply. And while you're doing that, be sensitive to all impressions within you. To assist in this process, you may wish to extend the exhalation a little longer than the inhalation. That helps produce the relaxation response because it stimulates the great vagus nerve. It interacts with and is part of our nervous system, particularly in regard to achieving autonomic balance of the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. All things that we study and have exercises on a weekly basis through our monograph studies of the Rosicrucian Order AMORC in our home sanctums. Rosicrucians are very practical and realize that for the mastery of life, we need to do. It's good to have the intellectual understanding, that's important, and that needs to be united with action and doing and experiencing. And when we have the latter, it transforms our intellectual understanding. Now we can more fully grasp something because we know it as a unity. Just continue to enjoy a gentle rhythms of your breath. Feel whatever there is to feel. Indeed, feel all there is to feel. The Rosicrucians have a beautiful technical expression of this called the cosmic keyboard. Full range of all vibrations, as if they're on a great keyboard like on a piano. Octave after octave, taking in the full range of vibrations. You go from one octave to another, there's a doubling of the rate of vibration. But there's still the C note on one octave, on the higher octave, and the higher octave again, and the lower octave, forming a resonance and an affinity. Just with our simple breathing, we're tuning ourselves with higher and higher octaves. Especially when we take this as an opportunity to become spiritualized. So with each going of the breath, feel that increased calmness and tranquility. I invite you with each incoming of the breath, feel the increasing presence of the vital life force circulating through your body. Feel the tingling effect, tonic effect. This is our birthright. It's part of the wisdom of the body. You may wish to picture, visualize with each incoming breath, increasing sense of the presence of our true nature and guide in life, the master within, the divine within, the inner self referred to in our Rosicrucian studies. Not only as an exhilarating concept, but an uplifting, experience firsthand, as both of a psychic and mystical nature. Well, later in our presentation, we'll talk more about what is a psychic experience, what is a mystical experience, and why they're so valuable to us, and why we need to be very discerning in their regard. Important part of being a human is to be open. Open to learn, open to discern. And experiment firsthand for ourselves what is real to us. Or indeed, for something to be real to us, we need to have experienced it ultimately. Rosicrucians have the term reality, which is used as a technical term to mean what we've experienced or our sense impressions, physical, but also through the psychic senses and the inner spiritual faculty. They're mirroring based on an actuality, the actual vibrations. That as we grow and mature, we become clearer and clearer, perceive with greater accuracy and precision, and a sense of the whole. Just continue to enjoy the gentle rhythm of the breath. Find your mind wandering, just lovingly and gently bring it back to the gentle rhythm of the breath, the inhalation and the relatively extended exhalation. Feeling the physiological and psychic effects of these actions. Help moving us into the autonomic balance. Part of our lessons in the Rosicrucian teachings tell us about the psychic centers associated with endocrine glands in the body, but also their psychic counterpart, which we can increasingly experience now, especially the heart center. Because with this breathing exercise, what happens is our heart rate slows up. Our heart works more efficiently. It also allows us to feel heartfelt feelings, radiate love and well-being, feel good about ourselves and our path in life. It allows us to radiate these insights to all in need. Just continue to enjoy the gentle rhythm of the breath, feeling all that you can feel, indeed all that there is to feel. Just continue to be receptive, or more poetically speaking, to let go. When you do these actions, we become increasingly sensitive. Physiological effects in our body, but also psychically sensitive. Various impressions may come to our mind. There may be in sights and sounds or other sense stimuli. Just take note of them, but then return back to the discipline of the breath. . Soon we'll apply the instructions of the Rosicrucian meditation booklet, Liber 777, which we'll do in a little different form today. I invite you to say a prayer and invocation for me that will apply the law of purification, allow us to be increasingly sensitive to vibrations associated with mystical experience and psychic experience. If you wish to say with me now, may the divine essence of the cosmic infuse my being and cleanse me of all impurities of mind and body, that I may enter the celestial sanctum and attune in pureness and in worthiness. So mote it be. Now let us picture ourselves rising up from the room where we are, a home, dwelling or building where we are. Let's use all our imagination and psychic faculties to experience this ascent, this journey upward. Not only as an imaginative experience, but as a psychic experience. Do not be concerned whether it's possible or not. Just let it unfold. Our deepest nature knows how to do it. As we continue upward, we'll see down our geographic area or town or city, move beyond our province or state, even our great nation or country, beyond the beautiful blue jewel of the earth, past the solar system, journeying out into the cosmos. Experience the cosmos in its transformed state as the cosmic. Rosicrucians use that term to mean the universe, the cosmos, but also the universal intelligence back of the cosmos. Let us increasingly experience that universal intelligence. Indeed, all the natural and spiritual laws that we learn through our monographs of Rosicrucian teachings for self-mastery. Sense these within ourselves. As we've risen up higher and higher, let's allow this to rise up in higher and higher octaves, cosmic keyboard, mind the law correspondence. But also at the same time, it's allowed us to go deeper and deeper within ourselves. It's a psychic and mystical experience. And at this special place of vastness and cosmic attunement, I invite you to visualize your celestial sanctum, your personal sacred space, some inspiring temple for you, or inspiring place in nature. As we take in the great harmony of the spheres about us, a harmony of the cosmos, a form of inner spiritual vibration of a psychic and mystical nature, higher and higher octaves of the cosmic keyboard. Feel in the sights and sounds of impression of your sacred space. You may wish to picture invisible and visible masters in your presence, seekers around the world and beyond in your presence. All those on this conference call with us, for us. Just feel the degree of exhilaration, the wonderful tingling effect of the vital life force all around you. Feelings of love, feelings of well-being, a wonderful tonic effect for yourself and all others, united in the one soul. Let us have a time of silence together to increase our cosmic attunement and receptivity to the divine within. Let the experience unfold. The heights of the celestial sanctum, the center of your being. Now, friars and sorors and participants, as we continue our meditation at the heights of the celestial sanctum, I invite you to concentrate on your heart, not only the physical heart, but also the psychic heart and the mystical heart, the deep sense of love and well-being that radiates from our heart. Sense it not only in the microcosm that you are, but sense the heart expanding to encompass the entirety of the macrocosm. Your entire heart surrounded by the universe, indeed filling the universe. So if your mind and heart are throughout the cosmos, as if you are the cosmic mind and heart of the universe. So let the Master within, Divine within, assist you to accomplish this spiritual operation, applying the law of cosmic attunement and the law of assumption. Let your heart fill the cosmos. Have your awareness filling the cosmos. Just continue to be receptive and let the experience unfold. Let us enjoy the deep, enriching silence together. Most profound form of peace. Now, for writers and sorors and participants, let us continue the spiritual operations of the work and worship of the Rosicrucian AMORC, applying our psychic, mystical impressions. So our heart filling the universe, our mind identified with the cosmic mind or universal intelligence of the cosmos. Let us radiate love and well-being. So all sentient beings throughout the cosmos that are in need guidance and healing. Feel the exhilaration of these radiations, reaching those in need. think you'll find at a certain point the flow continue without any conscious effort. It'll speed up and you know it's reaching those in need. When that happens, just continue to let the flow continue and surrender and be receptive in cosmic attunement. Now, friars and sorors and participants will continue our meditation. This period of sending love and well-being is an act of metaphysical aid in harmony with the work of the Silent Council in conjunction with the Council of Solace of our Grand Lodge. I invite you to say together with me, if it pleases the cosmic, it is done. So mote it be. Let us continue a while longer. Profound meditation. The heights of the celestial sanctum and at the depths of our being. At one through the law of unity and the law of correspondence. As above, so below. Soon we'll formally conclude this period of cosmic attunement, the celestial sanctum, and meditation exercise, knowing that the deep impressions of both the psychic and mystical nature will continue to resonate within us. It's a great healing effect as a radiation to all others and as a way of life. I may wish to express through gratitude and prayer thankfulness for this opportunity to fulfill the law of service and our birthright through the law of cosmic attunement, evolve and grow on the path in self-mastery. All the more able to play all the keys of the great cosmic keyboard. And let us begin our descent from the heights of the celestial sanctum, which at the same time will be coming up from the great depths of our being. Past myriad galaxies, stellar phenomena, back to our local galaxy, the Milky Way. Pass into it, into the great arm where we dwell. Past the myriad stars and stellar phenomena. You can see in the distance, the great fiery ball of the sun, our local star. Let us come back to the temple of the earth, the country or nation we left off, state or province, city or geographic area, or home or dwelling or building, back in the room where we left off. Let us say together, of prayer and invocation. May the God of my heart sanctify this attunement of self with the celestial sanctum. So mote it be. And when you're ready, fratres and sorors and participants, you may wish to open your eyes and stretch, feeling remade, rejuvenated, or fully yourself, one with the one. All ready or the work and worship and duties of the day. Thank you. Now, on the topic of psychic and mystical experiences compared, I think you'll have a rich storehouse of ideas and firsthand experiences of a psychic and mystical nature. And I'll mention some points about this, and you could keep your own eye and your own insights and ideas, and we'll work together on this. Now, part of the conception of this presentation came about through the AMORC book, The Sanctuary of Self, by Imperator Emeritus Ralph M. And that book has a chapter titled The Illusions of the Psychic. And we'll follow up on that discussion, which compares psychic and mystical experiences. Now, both types of experiences are part of balanced growth and maturing of the aspirant. And while these two types of experience are part of one continuum, it can be helpful to know how they work together and have different characteristics and purposes. In this regard, I'd like to show you another slide image. It's a painting by the renowned American painter Andrew Wyeth. This is one of his relatively early paintings, tempera on panel. It's entitled Christmas Morning. In 1944, about 23 3/4 inches by 38 3/4 inches, or 60.3 centimeters by 98.4 centimeters. He mentions in regard to this experience that, and I'll quote, "My first link with death, a woman I knew had died. I painted this purely from memory. It is a strange picture. I was striving for an overall schematic of dawn colors, silvery hues." Now, Andrew Wyeth spent his time between Pennsylvania and Maine. And in Pennsylvania, in Maine, he would explore the countryside. Here we see farm fields. We see a wooded lot beside it. We see a person that is in a pillow, preparing for what the Rosicrucians call the Great Initiation, or the transition, the movement from being incarnated to being entirely on the divine plane. But through meditation, we increasingly realize the divine plane here and now and always. You notice that the plants with the thorns on it are wrapped around her, that in a way she's uniting with the landscape that was so beloved by her. We notice very intriguingly the view off in the distance, which suggests the vastness, increasingly attunement with the divine, and that ascent to the divine. Quite strikingly, you'll notice there appears a planet towards the upper right, often referred to poetically as the morning star, that is Venus, and its beautiful symbolism and psychic vibrations that complement this work. This painting reminded me of a particular experience I recall with a Rosicrucian student, a lifelong member and devoted student to the work of the bodies and events, and very active at in Detroit and later or earlier associations from being brought up in Chicago. And I remember near the close of her life, I went to visit her in Chicago on a trip, and she lived in a suite that was high up with a beautiful window view over the great expanse uh, of Lake Michigan. And when she was lying in bed, uh, I had a sense of her like seen in this painting, the seeing her, but also the sense of the vastness of Lake uh, Michigan. And with that, I had a sense that from her inner self, that she was being prepared through the master wind of the inner self for transition, the great initiation. And sometimes we'll have experiences like that that'll assist our outer mind to clothe deeper inner psychic experiences. And when we have them, it behooves us also to be receptive and make sure we get the full message from the experience. Because sometimes psychic experiences go even deeper as preludes to mystical experiences. Just like here in seeing this work by Andrew Wyeth, I had a sense of also that sense of the one soul, that deep unity of all expressions of life through the experience of the sower being prepared for transition. And that just as we celebrate the incoming of life, when we truly understand life, we can celebrate the outgoing of life and see the one unity in it all. Related to this, I'll make a series of other points of a general nature that we can follow up with, and I'll give you some resources. I've spoken earlier of the cosmic keyboard and a great sea of vibrations that are associated with it. It's very helpful for understanding all phenomena that are expressed to us, both the physical phenomena, but also emotional, intellectual, psychic, and mystical phenomena. As we move in the higher and higher rates of vibration, we go to finer and finer refinement. Some of them are beyond what scientific instruments yet can measure. Over time, with the development of science, there's various vibrations that are now known and can be transmitted. In earlier times, many would be surprised to know that in the room that's about you or the area you are, there's many voices. How could that be? Well, one way is that if you had a transistor radio and you can tune just properly, you could start to hear a broadcaster on a radio channel. You say, well, that's straightforward. Well, similarly, we can do that, picking up through our psychic faculties that mirror our physical faculties, our inner psychic hearing, our inner psychic tasting, our inner psychic sight, and so forth. And one of the common ways this is experienced is what's called the human aura. I know you've had experiences where you've seen an aura around a person. Or for some people, it's not so much seeing a color around a person like a cloud. They may see it as another sense. They may sense inner impressions. It may be when they're sitting with the person, even though they're not saying anything, there's no peripheral vision. We're starting to sense what's going on within that person. And we sense others through our aura. And to be able to see it clearly, it behooves us that our aura is well tuned and purified so we can see things aright. Also, that radiation, you may sometimes feel vibrations flowing from another person into us or vice versa of a surprising nature. That vital life force radiates out from us. In a way, the aura is like the meeting of the finite plane and the infinite plane. It's from the physical and the beyond the physical meeting together, like the north and south poles of a magnet to form that magnetic effect on a much higher rate of vibration. You know, in this regard, there's often different classifications for psychic impressions, and there's different terminologies. One that we're quite familiar with, of course, is telepathy, the transference of thoughts from one to another. And we have lessons in our weekly monographs on all these. All these things are to be worked on and practiced. They all help us for mastery of living. They all help us to expand our attunement and move up the cosmic keyboard, play higher and higher octaves, whatever a situation is required, whether it be a healing of another, whether it be receptive, whether it be inspirations, whether to be draw forth our creativity. These are all the rich storehouse of what it is to be a human being, a co-creator with the divine, in the image of the divine. There's also telekinesis, where one will get sense impressions from could be or phenomena where we feel an object, maybe a person's pen or a ring or something. We may not even know the person or looked upon them, but we're sense impressions, maybe an archaeological artifact. This can also happen. I remember once one of my Rosicrucian mentors saying that she was staying in a hotel, and she suddenly saw, when she was lying in bed, it appeared before her, there was two business persons arguing at the foot of her bed. Now, she could have been taken aback and thought, and there's various ways this type of experience can happen. But when we're very sensitive to impressions, that it could be charged in an object, but it could also be charged in a room or a place, we can suddenly see events that have happened there, even events that may be happening in the future. Often people will see, for example, in Roman Bath or Roman York, it is modern day, they'll see Roman soldiers of legions. Often that's because they're picking up, just like their psychic faculties, their sense impressions, what's still embedded in that area or charged in that area. We have lessons in our monographs about this, but you can also think of it as enology that I mentioned earlier to radio, but also we've had like a cassette tape or a video recording. In a way, there's a video recording of things of the past that are in our houses, in our rooms, and objects that we can become aware of and apply, and use, and adapt. This can also happen in other ways. I recall earlier times that at a Rosicrucian event, the Prineus convocation, mystical convocation. There was a Rosicrucian student that in earthly years was in their 20s. And when they started to present, there was a deep sense of calmness, tranquility in the room. There was a sense of enriching vibration as he spoke deeply. There was a sense of cosmic attunement. And some persons in the room saw that he appeared no longer to be a person in their 20s, but a person who would be their elder, who was very knowledgeable of what he was saying, very experienced, and had years of experience saying that. In a way, this was an opportunity to see more deeply into a person and who they were and who they are. The Rosicrucians often mention their doctrine of the reincarnation. It's not something to be believed in, but it's something that one can study and experience through various lessons and exercises that we know, and see if it makes sense from us. And experiences like this that I just related to you can help, because we never know when our elders return to us as children and through other forms. Not surprisingly, such a person sought the order again at a very early age, and we were waiting for him. Now, comparing and contrasting psychic experiences as done in that chapter, Illusions of the Psychic, Master Imperator Ralph M in the book Sanctuary of Self. It's good to know that to help compare and contrast these type of experiences, that just as Andrew Wyeth with this experience, feeling quite deeply a beloved friend passing on early on in his life, the first person who was very close to us in an emotional way. The painting was cathartic for him. It helped him have a deeper understanding of it. So he felt it not only in the emotional, intellectual way, but he also started to feel in a psychic way of her great affinity with the landscape. And if you could pursue that experience further, you'd feel that deep unity and love and oneness that is a mystical experience. And there would no longer be that fear of path. You have their transition. In this regard, let me relate to you some of the characteristics of mystical experiences that have some contrast with psychic experiences. But both psychic and mystical experiences are very important to us. And you can look up these more in our lessons from your own experiences in the chapter in the book Sanctuary of Self that I'm mentioning. to cosmic consciousness. One of the telltale experiences of a mystical experience, particularly experience of cosmic consciousness, it can be one and the same with mystical experience in its strong form, is ineffability. To the outer nature, it can seem hard to put one's finger on it. It can seem hard to explain it or describe it to others, even though it had a great definiteness. Some of the best way to express it is through inspiring music, like we saw in those thought forms that were over the cathedral earlier, or in poetry. Think of the mystical poetry of John of the Cross, for example, and other great poets that were very mystically inclined. We can say things that we felt a tremendous love, a love beyond what we ever felt for one person, but now we're feeling it for all sentient beings, and we're feeling with ease. All these help bring back in our memory our deepest experiences, or even experiences we haven't thought of and realize that we actually have had mystical experiences. It's just now being more aware of them. Having the term often in life helps us identify with them and bring them back. One of the beautiful things of mystical experiences is that they have a permanent life-altering effect, stronger than what psychic experiences can have. They forever change us, so they give that momentum in our life, that we're forever changed, and others will notice that. At the same time, we can go back in our memory of these experiences and enhance it, especially when we're having challenging experiences or thinking how we should act. These experiences of great maturity will bring forth our true nature and depth in life. There's also the noetic quality that is different than the psychic experience in general. We know, and we know that we know. There's that direct experience, no intermediary. In some ways, it's more real than touching our fingers or the table or the chair we're seated in. It's far more real and effective and truthful than those things. And it allows us to speak with more authority, but also with more humility. It also gives us an assuredness. There's things that are spoken of in sacred texts we now know in a first-hand way. There's things that are talked about in that sense of oneness with the one. We've had an experience now. We have a whole new intellectual illumination of what that means. A third quality is also transiency. The experiences may be in Earth time, literally a bat of an eye. It may be a fraction of a second. Within that fraction of a second, a tremendous amount has been unfolded. We can learn more than years of academic teaching in such a short period. Not that there isn't importance to have that academic teaching and development to balance with the outer self and to clothe the impressions, these deep impressions from within. The Rosicrucians are always applying the law of balance in these matters. So this transiency, sometimes it may be a few hours, it may be a fraction of a second, but a tremendous amount will happen. Just as we rose up into the cosmic, and as described in the booklet Liber 77, that is actually based on cosmic experiences of our Rosicrucian teachers. They've emulated the cosmic by writing that text to help us also enter into that highest place of spirituality. It is known as the celestial sanctum for inspiration, for healing, for ourselves and others. Whenever we're in need, we know others in need. There's also the fourth distinctive quality of passivity. It goes beyond what you have in other types of experiences. Sometimes people in a very profound mystical experience will find themselves knocked down. They will not be hurt because the divine within is at work and knows what's best for the outer self. Over time, the nervous system gets more adapted to these profound experiences of higher and higher rates of vibration, cosmic keyboard, in a way our wisdom of our body is fully aligned, and the psychic centers we work with these higher impressions of the divine, or these cosmic impressions. The nervous system, vagus nerve, all know how to work with it in a way they were designed, and is their life purpose to work with them, so that the holy temple, our body, is truly one of the great temples in existence. Now, another point in this regard is that, just a moment, comparing and contrasting psychic experience, it's quite possible to be a rather be a person who's not highly developed in the virtues, humility, for example, or kindness, um, for example, and still have a lot of psychic capacity and sensitivity. That's not the case with being very mystically sensitive and being very inclined towards mystical experiences. In general, to have them and sustain them, the virtues have to be increasingly highly developed. And the more they develop, the more the superstructure of cosmic consciousness can come into us and be us, and we can identify with our true nature. That's why it's very important to have the character and the virtues developed. And our Rosicrucian teachings help us in that. Our experiences help us in that. The keynote of the Rosicrucian study is the high development of character, and it's one of the keynotes of knighthood. Now, one may have experiences where we wonder, well, is that a psychic experience or a cosmic consciousness experience? I'll give you, your student of the order, I'll give you a reference to a Rosicrucian form article, but I can mention that the way that the cosmic consciousness or mystical experiences happen have a tremendous range that they'll come about that are suitable for us, our culture we're in, and maybe the spiritual traditions. They'll be closed in the outer mind of those impressions. But also, uh, one can say that we may have certain mystical experiences of feeling suddenly greatly uplifted, a great sense of silence all around us, an experience of light. These are psychic in nature, but it's good to be aware of, say, oh, what's happening in the outer mind? It's good just to feel one's conscious that it's all right, surrender, let this go, because that may be a prelude to an even deeper journey into the divine within. And those outer psychic impressions are just helping increasing us move from the finite into the infinite plane. Often with mystical experiences, there's a sense of going very, very deep or going very, very high. That's why in our meditation experience is an emulation of the cosmic experience. We did both through the law of correspondence. Doing that will help us increasingly have these mystical experiences, but also help us with the psychic experiences. When we radiated love and well-being, we were applying that as a psychic experience, ultimately moving into the mystical experience of oneness. So you see the psychic and mystical experiences work together. Now, sometimes we may have experiences where we have a premonition of something in advance. They come through a dream or through our waking life. These are things to be aware of and to be sensitive to. We may also have times where we radiate love and well-being, and a person might come to us and say, oh, I had the impression of a certain insight in life that was very valuable, and I had that it was came from you because I saw you. And we may not know that that was actually that actually they received it, they were receptive, but we sent it out as a general broadcast, just as the masters visible and invisible do. And as we expand in our understanding of life, increasingly is one of the great sermons of service that we can perform, not for self-aggrandizement, but as part of our mission in life. Just like in a radio broadcast, the broadcaster or the person speaking doesn't know who all's picking up the message that he or she or they are sending out. Part of this ascentic type of experiences, one may sense that you're with all people in the one soul. There may be a sense of vastness of the universe. There may be the experience of being at the center of the universe. There may be the experience of seeing what's traditionally called the face of God or the face of the divine, like a great wise being or the sense of the divine before us. And then there's the experience going beyond space and time, space-time continuum, going beyond imagery or any type of sense impression that is beyond words. That's particularly where one could say the ineffability. But even there'll be a tremendous sense of knowledge of all that'll come into us. And even that will go beyond that. These are all things that are part of the mystical experience that the psychic experience helps us move into. At this time, I'd like to invite Karen to paste in the chat the resources for you, and I'll make a concluding statement. She'll also put them in there as a PDF, which you may find particularly easy to download if you're so inclined. So we've continued today on our series of presentations to do with the Rosicrucian teachings, particularly psychic and mystical experiences compared. We followed up on the chapter, The Illusions of the Psychic, in the Rosicrucian book, Sanctuary of Self, which will give you resources for. It's always good to come back to that book as we learn and grow. We can see and understand more and more what it's conveying to us for our maturity and service. And we've compared mystical and psychic experiences. Not that one is better than the other, just in physical senses. They're all part of the one continuum, all to be equally respected. And they're part of our balanced growth and maturing, the aspiring, indeed our involvement on the path. And while these two types of experience are one continuum, it's helpful to know how they work, how they're different in their characteristics. And in this manner, we've continued to explore Rosicrucian laws and principles and their creative expression and application for the mastery of life and a harmonious living and service.